Kalen's first sight of the world was a blur of clouds and sunlight. The nest was huge, made of silver branches that shined in the morning light, perched high on a floating cliff. Around him, dragons of all sizes stretched their wings and looked down at the land below. His mother, a massive dragon with golden scales, leaned close and sniffed him. His father, darker and taller, lowered his head to examine the tiny hatchling. But something was wrong. Kalen's scales were not the same as the others. A strange silver patch ran along his back, glimmering like moonlight. It was beautiful, but the elders whispered among themselves. His mother hissed softly, a sound full of worry, while his father narrowed his eyes. He is not like us, one elder muttered. He is cursed. He will never survive in our skies. Kalen did not understand the words. He could only feel their fear, their rejection. He trembled and tried to lift his tiny wings, but they were weak and awkward. When he opened his mouth to try a little puff of fire, only a small spark came out. The other dragons snorted and flapped their wings, showing their disapproval. His parents exchanged a look. The golden dragon lowered her head, her voice soft but cold. He cannot stay. He cannot fly like the others. He cannot breathe fire properly. He is different. Kalen blinked his large eyes. He did not know what different meant, but he could feel it in his chest. His parents, the ones who were supposed to love him most, were turning away. The elder dragons moved closer, circling him like predators, their wings casting shadows over the small, fragile body. We will leave him here, another elder said. Perhaps the storm will take him, and he will not bring shame to our kind. Kalen's heart beat faster. He tried to move closer to his mother, but she stepped back. He called out, a tiny squeak that was almost lost in the wind, but she did not respond. His father roared softly and shook his massive head. The words were clear, even to a baby dragon. He was alone. The wind was strong that morning, and Kalen's nest sat on the edge of the floating cliff. He peered over the side, looking down at the clouds far below. They seemed soft and empty, like a place he could fall and disappear. His tiny wings fluttered, but he could not lift himself. Fear filled him. Hunger and cold bit at his body. His parents had turned their backs, and the elders spread their wings, ready to leave him behind. Tears welled in his eyes. Not real tears perhaps, but a warm ache of sadness that made his chest hurt. He tried again to breathe fire. A small flicker came out, but it was weak, almost invisible. The other hatchlings from nearby nests snickered and hissed. Kalen wished he could be like them. He wished he could fly and shine and roar like a real dragon. But he could not. The sky above darkened as clouds moved in. The first drops of rain fell on his scales. Kalen shivered. The cliff was dangerous. One wrong flap, one mistake, and he could fall forever. He curled up, trying to hide under the nest's silver branches, but the wind ripped through him, pulling at his thin body. He felt small, weak, and forgotten. Then, in the distance, Kalen saw something strange. A shadow moved on the cliff below, near the forest of glowing trees. It was not a dragon. It was not another elder. It was something small and upright. Kalen squinted and tried to see clearly. The figure moved carefully, looking up at him. There was a glow in its eyes, curious and gentle, not like the fear or anger he had felt from the dragons above. Kalen could not move much, but he stretched his neck and squeaked again, tiny and pleading. The shadow below seemed to respond, tilting its head as if it understood. His heart, small and fragile, felt a flicker of hope. Perhaps he was not completely alone. Perhaps someone else, someone different, could see him not as cursed but as special. The elders shook their wings, warning the shadow to leave, but it did not move away. Kalen tried to flap his wings again, and this time, a small breeze lifted him slightly. Not far, not high, but it was a start. His parents growled softly, disappointed and angry, but Kalen did not care. He wanted only to reach that figure, to find comfort in a world that had turned its back on him. The rain fell harder. The wind picked up. Kalen held on to the edge of the nest, wings trembling. Yet, beneath the fear and the cold, a small spark of courage began to burn inside him. If the dragons above would not love him, if the world was cruel, perhaps this strange creature below could give him a chance. Perhaps he could survive. The elders finally spread their wings and flew away, leaving Kalen alone on the cliff. His parents disappeared into the clouds, leaving only silence and wind. Kalen shivered, his small body trembling from fear and rain, but he lifted his head and looked down again. The shadow was still there. The human he was waiting. And for the first time, Kalen felt a tiny heartbeat of hope.
Kalen watched the figure move closer through the rain. The shadow was not large like the dragons. It was smaller, thin, and walked on two legs. Its skin was pale compared to the glowing forest, and it wore strange clothes made of cloth and metal. Kalen had never seen anything like it before. The other dragons would have called it weak and foolish. But Kalen felt no fear. Something about the figure made him want to trust it. The human stopped at the edge of the cliff, looking up at him. It raised its hands slowly, not threatening him. Kalen tilted his head and let out a small squeak. The human nodded, as if understanding him. Then, gently, the human reached into a bag he carried and pulled out a small, glowing orb. The light was warm and soft, not like the harsh fire of dragons. Kalen blinked. He felt a strange calm wash over him. "Hey, little one," the human said softly. His voice was gentle, full of care. "I won't hurt you. I just want to help." Kalen flapped his tiny wings, weakly at first, but the human did not move away. He stepped closer, kneeling on the rocky ground. The rain dripped off his hair, but he did not seem to notice. Kalen wanted to move down to him, but the nest was slippery, and his wings were too small to lift him. Still, he stretched his neck and squeaked again. The human smiled. "There you are. You're not alone, little dragon. Not anymore." Kalen had never heard words like this. Dragons spoke with fire and roars, with hisses and growls. But these words, they felt like warmth inside his chest. He wanted to trust this strange creature. He wanted to reach him. Slowly, the human held out a hand. Kalen hesitated, then stepped forward on the nest. His claws slipped, and he almost fell, but the human grabbed him just in time. Kalen's tiny body was lifted from the cold, wet branches. He felt safe in the human's arms. The human held him gently, cradling him as if he were the most precious thing in the universe. "You're okay," the human whispered. "I've got you. I'll take care of you." Kalen blinked, unsure if he could trust this. But the warmth of the human's touch, the soft light from the glowing orb, and the gentle words made him feel something he had never felt before: hope. The elders and his parents had left him, but this human cared. Suddenly, a shadow passed over them. One of the elder dragons swooped down, its wings like thunder. It hissed and roared, eyes blazing with anger. "What is this? How dare a human touch our hatchling?" Kalen squeaked in fear, but the human did not flinch. He held Kalen closer, raising his other hand and pressing the glowing orb toward the dragon. A soft light filled the air, and the elder dragon hissed, shielding its eyes. The human spoke again, calmly and firmly. "Step back," he said. "I am not here to fight. I am here to help." The elder dragon hovered, unsure. Kalen felt its anger, but he also felt relief. The human was brave. He was not afraid. Kalen's tiny heart beat faster with a strange excitement. Perhaps this human could protect him from the dragons who had abandoned him. Slowly, the elder dragon spread its wings and flew away, roaring in frustration. Kalen looked at the human, awe in his eyes. He had never met anyone so brave. He wanted to be near him forever. The human smiled, brushing the rain from Kalen's scales. "You're special," he said softly. "I don't know why your parents left you, but I'll help you. I'll make sure you can fly. You'll be strong, little one." Kalen's wings twitched. Could he really fly? Could he really survive? The human's eyes were filled with kindness, and for the first time, Kalen believed that maybe, just maybe, he could. The human looked around at the cliff. "We need to get you somewhere safe," he said. He carried Kalen carefully down the slippery slope. The rain poured harder, but the human did not slip. Kalen clung tightly, feeling warmth and safety in his small chest. Below the cliff, a forest of glowing trees stretched for miles. The human led Kalen to a small cave, hidden by hanging vines. Inside, it was dry and warm. The light from the glowing orb filled the space, and Kalen could finally relax. He curled up in the human's lap, shivering from the cold and fear, but safe at last. "You're going to be okay," the human whispered. "I promise." Kalen closed his eyes. He could feel the human's heartbeat, steady and strong. For the first time since he had hatched, he felt love, not from his parents, but from someone who truly cared. The storm outside raged, but inside the cave, there was calm. Kalen stretched his tiny wings, testing them, and the human laughed softly. "We'll make them strong," he said. "We'll make you fly." Kalen looked up at the human and let out a tiny squeak, a sound that felt like gratitude. He knew this stranger had given him a chance to survive, a chance no dragon had. And somehow, deep inside, he felt that this was only the beginning of their adventure together. The rain continued to fall outside, but inside the cave, a new bond had formed between a baby dragon rejected by his kind and a human who would not give up on him. For the first time, Kalen felt hope, courage, and the promise of a future. And somewhere in the clouds, his parents would never know the small miracle that had begun. The next morning, Kalen woke to the soft light of the glowing cave. The storm had passed, leaving the forest outside shining with tiny droplets of light on every leaf. The air smelled fresh and new. Kalen stretched his small wings and looked up at the human, who was already busy at the edge of the cave, setting up strange tools and glowing devices. "I'm Elias," the human said softly, noticing Kalen watching him. "I'm going to help you. I'll make sure you can fly, breathe fire, and survive. You won't be alone anymore." Kalen blinked. He wanted to trust Elias. The warmth in his voice felt safe, like the first sun after a long, dark night. He flapped his wings experimentally, and a tiny puff of flame sparked from his mouth. It was weak, but it was fire. Elias smiled and clapped gently. "That's it. You've got it. One step at a time." For the next hours, Elias worked with Kalen patiently. He placed small glowing crystals around the cave and used them to guide Kalen's movements. When Kalen tried to flap his wings, Elias lifted him gently, letting him feel the wind beneath his feathers. At first, Kalen fell awkwardly, landing on his soft tail, but Elias never scolded him. He laughed softly and encouraged him. "You're stronger than you think," Elias said. "Even if the others don't see it, I do. You're special." Kalen felt his chest swell. No dragon had ever called him special. His parents had left him. The elders had rejected him. But Elias believed in him. That belief made him want to try harder. Over the next few days, their bond grew stronger. Elias created small exercises for Kalen, using lightweight rods and glowing spheres to teach him balance. He showed Kalen how to control his fire, letting him practice in safe bursts that warmed the cave without burning it. Kalen tried, failed, and tried again. Each time, Elias praised him. Each time, Kalen felt a little braver, a little stronger. At night, when the glowing crystals dimmed, Elias would tell Kalen stories about humans and dragons and distant stars. He spoke of courage, kindness, and discovery. Kalen listened with wide eyes, curling up in Elias's lap. Sometimes he even purred softly, a sound that made Elias smile. "You're learning fast," Elias said one evening, stroking Kalen's head. "Soon, you'll fly higher than your parents ever imagined. You'll be faster, stronger, and braver than they could ever dream of." Kalen tried a small flight exercise the next day. Elias held him at the edge of a small cliff near the cave. The wind rushed past him, strong and cold. Kalen flapped his wings frantically, his body shaking, but Elias encouraged him. "Come on, Kalen. You can do it. Feel the wind. Trust yourself." Kalen leapt. For a moment, he fell. Fear clawed at him, and he flapped harder. Then, just as he began to panic, he felt the wind lift him. He was flying. His small wings carried him, wobbly but real. He let out a joyful roar, and Elias laughed, clapping his hands. "Yes! That's it. You're flying." Kalen circled above Elias, feeling the freedom for the first time. It was exhilarating. The storm, the rejection, the cold rain, it all seemed far away now. For the first time, he felt powerful. And he felt connected to someone who believed in him completely. The next days were filled with training. Kalen learned to dodge glowing spheres, to lift small weights with his claws, and to control the flames that flickered from his mouth. Elias even invented a small harness that let Kalen practice longer flights safely. Every step brought confidence. Every success brought joy. And every failure taught him resilience. But the world outside the cave was not silent. The elder dragons had noticed Kalen's absence. They whispered among themselves, watching from above. "The human is raising him," one hissed. "He will not survive in our society if he returns with the human." Kalen did not know the danger. He only knew that Elias had given him hope, strength, and purpose. And he was grateful. He wanted to prove that he could survive, that he could be strong. Not for the dragons who had rejected him, but for himself and for the human who had believed in him. One evening, as the glowing crystals dimmed and the stars appeared in the sky, Kalen rested in Elias's lap. He looked at the human, his silver patch glinting in the soft light. "Do you think I'll ever be as strong as them?" Kalen squeaked softly. Elias smiled, brushing a finger along Kalen's head. "Stronger," he said. "You're not like them, Kalen. You're better. You have courage, heart, and a will to survive. That makes you stronger than anyone who turned their back on you." Kalen felt something warm inside. Pride. Love. A little spark of courage. He knew the days ahead would be hard. The dragons might still come, his parents might still reject him, but now he had a friend, a teacher, and a guide. Now he had a chance. And for the first time, Kalen did not feel small, weak, or forgotten. He felt ready to face the world. Kalen had grown stronger over the weeks. His wings were larger now, his fire steadier, and his confidence had grown under Elias's careful guidance. The glowing cave had become their home, a place of warmth and safety. But Kalen felt something calling him, a pull toward the cliffs where his parents lived. He did not know why, but he wanted to see them, even if they had rejected him. Elias noticed his hesitation. "You're ready," he said softly, brushing his fingers along Kalen's scales. "But remember, they may not accept you. They might still think you're weak. Stay close to me. I won't let anyone hurt you." Kalen squeaked softly and flapped his wings. He wanted to try. He wanted to show his parents he had grown, that he could be strong, that he could survive. With Elias's guidance, he flew toward the floating cliffs, soaring above the glowing forest and clouds. The wind rushed past him, and his heart raced with excitement and fear. When they reached the cliffs, the dragons were waiting. His parents were there, massive and regal. The golden scales of his mother glinted in the sunlight, and his father's dark eyes glowed with anger. Surrounding them were the elder dragons, their wings spread wide, ready to defend their kind. Kalen landed carefully on a rocky ledge. He looked at his parents, his silver patch shining brightly. He flapped his wings once, twice, trying to appear strong. His chest rose and fell, not with fear, but with determination. His mother hissed. "Kalen! You were not meant to survive. How dare you return here, raised by a human?" His father growled, smoke curling from his nostrils. "You are weak. You are cursed. You should not even be alive." Kalen opened his mouth to speak, but no words came. Instead, he flapped his wings hard, sending sparks of fire into the air. The flames were small, controlled, precise. He had practiced under Elias, and now he could show them what he had learned. Elias stepped forward, holding the glowing orb. "Stay back," he said firmly to the dragons. "Kalen is not weak. He is strong, brave, and capable. He has survived because of courage and effort, not because of your approval." The dragons hissed and circled them, wings flapping like thunder. Kalen's parents roared, but Kalen did not back down. He remembered every lesson Elias had taught him, the balance, the control, the courage. He flapped higher, sparks of fire swirling around him. He performed small loops in the air, dodged imaginary attacks, and breathed fire in controlled bursts. The elder dragons whispered among themselves. Some were angry. Some were curious. But Kalen did not care. He only wanted to show his parents that he was no longer the weak hatchling they had abandoned. His mother lunged forward, claws out, but Elias stepped between them, holding Kaylin safely. "He chooses his own path," Elias said. "He does not need your approval. You left him. You turned your backs. He belongs with those who care for him." Kaylin landed beside Elias, his chest rising with pride. He felt the power in his wings, the strength in his fire, and the courage in his heart. For the first time, he was not afraid of his parents. He was not afraid of their anger. He had grown, and he had someone who believed in him. His father roared, louder than ever, but Kaylin flapped his wings and met his gaze. He was not weak. He was not cursed. He was a dragon, yes, but he was also something different. Something strong. Something special. The dragons paused, uncertainty in their eyes. They had never seen a hatchling survive like this. They had never seen a human raise a dragon to such strength. Kaylin's silver patch shimmered in the sunlight, a symbol of his uniqueness. "You survived," his mother said finally, her voice softer now. "And you are strong." Kaylin flapped his wings proudly but did not roar. He only looked at her, his eyes calm and steady. He had grown past their rejection. He did not need their approval anymore. Elias knelt beside him, smiling. "Kaylin has a choice," he said. "He chooses to be with those who care for him. Not with those who left him behind." Kaylin looked at his parents one last time. They had rejected him once, but he had survived. He had grown. He had flown. And he had a human who loved and believed in him. That was all he needed. The elder dragons and his parents finally spread their wings and rose into the sky, leaving Kaylin and Elias alone on the cliff. Kaylin flapped his wings experimentally, feeling the wind under his body. He was free. Strong. Brave. He looked down at Elias, and the human nodded. Kaylin let out a joyful roar, not at his parents, but at the world. He had survived. He had grown. And he knew the adventure was only beginning. For the first time, Kaylin did not feel small, weak, or abandoned. He felt hope, courage, and a bond stronger than any dragon's rejection. He had chosen his path, and it was with Elias. Together, they would face anything. And somewhere in the clouds above, Kaylin's parents could only watch, knowing that the little hatchling they had rejected had become something greater than they could ever imagine. Kaylin and Elias watched the dragons disappear into the clouds. The wind was calm now, and the glowing forest stretched endlessly below them. Kaylin's silver patch shone in the sunlight, a symbol not of weakness, but of survival and courage. For weeks, he had trained, learned, and grown. Now, he was ready to face the world not as a rejected hatchling, but as a strong, brave dragon who had a human by his side. Elias knelt on the cliff, brushing rain from Kaylin's scales. "You did it," he said softly. "You faced them, and you didn't run. You showed them who you really are." Kaylin let out a small roar, one of pride and joy. His wings twitched experimentally, and he felt the wind lift him slightly. He could fly higher, faster, and better than he ever imagined. But this time, he didn't care about impressing anyone else. He only cared about the bond he shared with Elias, the human who had never given up on him. "We should find a safe place for you to rest and grow," Elias said, scanning the forest below. "Somewhere you can practice flying, learn to control your fire, and be free." Kaylin flapped his wings and soared into the air, circling above the cliff. The freedom was intoxicating. He could see rivers of light flowing through the forest, floating islands in the distance, and the endless sky above. He had never felt anything like this. And now, he could share it with Elias. The human followed, running and leaping across the cliff edges, using small jet-like boots that let him glide down safely. Kaylin swooped low, brushing Elias's shoulder with his tail in a playful gesture. The human laughed, and the sound filled the air like music. It was the first time Kaylin felt truly happy, completely safe, and completely free. Days passed as they explored the forest together. Kaylin practiced flying between glowing trees, leaping from cliff to cliff, and breathing fire in controlled bursts. Elias built small tools to help him improve, teaching him tricks and techniques that no dragon elder would have thought of. Kalen was learning faster than anyone expected. He was not just surviving, he was thriving. Sometimes, Kalen would pause to look up at the sky where his parents had been. The memory of their rejection still stung, but it no longer controlled him. He had chosen his path. He had chosen life, courage, and friendship. And he had chosen Elias. That choice made him stronger than any dragon who had ever judged him. One evening, as the sun set behind the floating mountains, Kalen and Elias settled on a cliff that overlooked the forest. The sky was painted in shades of pink and gold, and the air was warm. Kalen curled up next to Elias, feeling safe and content. "You've come so far, little one," Elias said softly. "You're not the baby dragon who couldn't fly. You're a dragon who faced the world and won. And not just that, you've shown courage, heart, and determination. That makes you stronger than anyone who turned their back on you." Kalen nuzzled Elias's hand, a soft, happy sound escaping his throat. For the first time, he understood that strength wasn't just about fire or flight. It was about courage, loyalty, and the bonds you choose. Elias had given him that. Elias had given him life. The night came, and the stars sparkled like diamonds over the glowing forest. Kalen flapped his wings experimentally, feeling the air lift him. He circled above the cliff, letting out a roar of joy that echoed through the mountains. He was alive. He was free. He was strong. Elias watched him with pride. "Tomorrow, we'll explore further," he said. "There are other places you can go, other dragons you can meet. But always remember, you are special, Kalen. You don't need their approval. You have your own path." Kalen landed beside him and let out a small, happy squeak. His silver patch gleamed in the moonlight, and he felt a warmth in his chest that no dragon's rejection could ever take away. He had a family now, one he had chosen. One that loved him. Weeks passed, and Kalen's strength continued to grow. He could fly higher than any dragon in the area, his fire was controlled and bright, and his courage inspired Elias and anyone who saw him. Word of the human and the dragon spread quietly through the forest. Some dragons watched from afar, curious. Some remained skeptical. But Kalen did not care. He had found his place, and that was enough. One morning, as Kalen stretched his wings and prepared to fly, Elias said, "Let's go see the world, Kalen. There's so much out there for us. We can face anything together." Kalen leapt into the air, feeling the wind beneath his wings and the strength in his heart. He looked down at the forest, then up at the endless sky, and roared a sound full of joy, freedom, and triumph. For the first time, the world felt big, bright, and full of possibilities. He had been rejected. He had been abandoned. But he had survived. He had grown. And he had chosen his own family, his own path. A human stranger had given him a chance, and together, they would explore the stars, the forests, and the skies. Nothing could stop them now. And somewhere high above, the dragons that had once turned their backs on him could only watch, knowing that the little baby dragon they had rejected had become something far greater than they ever imagined. Kalen flapped his wings and soared into the rising sun, Elias by his side, ready for the adventures that awaited. His story was not one of rejection anymore, it was one of courage, hope, and triumph. The sky was theirs. The world was theirs. And together, they were unstoppable.